Thank you, David. In this short presentation, we will be considering Patterson and the negative attitude that came about towards selling. We'll have a look at, rather than push the sale, we will have a look at pulling the sale, attracting your customers to you. Two areas that we will focus on is transformational selling and the platform, The Perfect Sale. Towards the end of this presentation, I will be asking your permission now to make an offer. And at the end, there will be a bonus for you. In 1887, a fellow by the name of John Patterson, who owned the National Cash Register, decided to write a sales structure, a sales program for his salespeople. It consisted of 4 areas. The approach: hello, I'm Gerald Richards from the National Cash Register. The proposition: have I got a deal for you? And then the demonstration. This is how the National Cash Register works. And finally, the close. And it was here that objections were handled, objections were overcome, often to the satisfaction of the salesperson rather than the customer. His method was very successful. It was aggressive. It suited the period, it suited the times of the 19th century. Do we really want to sell like that now? That was Patterson. A number of organizations saw how successful it was and adopted it. Sadly, the jargon of the 19th century is still being used by salespeople today. It's very aggressive. What we have to have a look now at is being assertive. So often people still have an attitude that selling has to be aggressive. It's a push. Here's a question I like to ask of you. Have a look at these images. Would you like to buy from these people? Just pop it in the chat, yes or no. Okay, most people seem to be coming up with no. How did all this come about? Well, we've spoken about Patterson and it was an aggressive approach to selling, which was adapted and adopted by many people, even in the 20th century. In 1949, Arthur Miller wrote a book called Death of a Salesman. And it was all about Willie Loman, sad case, refusing to change. The world passed him by, but he was still stuck in his attitude. Since then, there have been various films and portrayals in the media of the type of salesperson that people think is a salesperson. They're not. So often they are con artists. In the film The Tin Man, with Richard Dreyfuss and Danny DeVito, it was all about these salespeople using unscrupulous methods to sell aluminium cladding. It was tell them anything, get the order, move on. Almost like what Patterson was suggesting. Get the order, move on to the next task. Another one which portrays salespeople in a negative environment was The Wolf of Wall Street. It was all about a fellow by the name of Jordan Belfort. He was a stockbroker. He sold dubious packages to high wealth individuals. Tell them anything. He was corrupt. He eventually went to jail. So that's what we had in terms of a perceived attitude towards selling. Often people have said to me, I don't want to appear as someone who's salesy, someone who's pushing, someone who people have no trust in, and self-interested. That's the aggressive salesperson. Push, push, push. get the order, move on. Don't want to be doing that anymore. So let's have a look in terms of attitude. And attitude is a mental view or disposition, the way we view things, positive or negative towards sales. Now, when I say positive, I don't mean rah, 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 I can sell. We're not in some sort of motivational convention. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm talking about a quiet positiveness where you say, yes, I believe I can sell. May need help, but I believe I can sell. Or do we wish to be negative? Selling's all too difficult. I'll leave it up to someone else. Henry Ford said that if you believe you cannot do something, or you believe you can do something, you will be right. So have a look at this in terms of developing your attitude. Do you believe you can sell? Or do you believe you cannot sell? So let's have a look at developing attitude using your social skills. Here's a question. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Imagine going to a group at a social gathering, a business gathering, where you feel confident in opening up this conversation very quickly and building that rapport, building that harmonious relationship. It can be done with a few simple ways. So let's have a look at the first way to develop your attitude. From push the sale to pull the sale. You're going to attract your clients to you, your customers to you, rather than push your product onto them. Sales pitch. A pitch definition is you grab something and you throw it. Is that what you want from a sales pitch? Or do you want to make a sales promise? A sales promise which gives the outcome, the results. Do you want to make a cold call? I was talking to one client and she said, Gerald, I hate making cold calls. I said, Laura, so do I. And I'm 40 years of successful selling, training other people. I've never had to make a cold call. What I have made are introductory calls. Just as you, in a social gathering, first of all, introduce yourself. Oh, she said, that's a good idea. I followed it up and she said, Gerald, this is great. I'm really using it and I'm employing it. I feel more confident. Handling objections. What is an objection? Go to the dictionary definition. It's something in opposition. It's something you disapprove of. It's something you do not like. And yet, a lot of salespeople say, no, it's not what I mean. I go by dictionary definitions. Let's have a look at a better dictionary definition, which you use socially. It's satisfying concern. Understand what they are about, understand the problem that they face, understand the uneasiness, and then together satisfy. Close the sale, close the sale. Patterson at his best. Close the sale, move on. And yet, what we want to do is obtain the sale. Why? Because that's when the relationship begins. It doesn't begin closing a sale, it begins you obtaining the sale and moving on, building the relationship. So that's what we're going to have a look at. A classic. The market never bought anything. People buy from people, but guess what? They have to be asked. I was with a salesperson. He made a wonderful presentation. He only left out one thing, asking for the order. We left the client. He said, oh, I said, was there anything missing? Oh, yes. I didn't ask for the order. People buy when they are asked. It's as simple as that. You have to ask people in a social situation. Transformational selling is human-centered. It focuses on the other party because people buy from people. Now we move from selling in the old style, aggressive, to serving. There's the attitude shift. I'm not pushing a product. I am concentrating on the other party, human-centered, and I am servicing to achieve an outcome. And that way we deliver real value. Some of the components of transformational selling. It is empathy first. This is a deep understanding of what the other party requires, their needs, their wants, their expectations, their goals, their challenges, their motivation. It is also an authentic connection. We do not use scripts. Oh, if they say this, I say that. Never worked really, and certainly not in this century. Authentic communication by you being yourself. It now is a collaborative discovery. When people have a concern or a problem, you do not leap in and say, have I got to deal with you? You do not dismiss what they're selling. You work together with them. You co-create solutions. And why? When the other party, when your customer is involved in a solution, they are more committed. More committed, they go ahead. Price falls away. Why? Because you present the value, because you focus on the end result, not the input. Being busy is input. Being productive is output. And guess what happens? Customers feel empowered. Hey, this person is helping me, the customer, to succeed. When you succeed, you feel good. When you feel good, you feel empowered. And it is a continuous growth. Transformational selling is not a one-off like transactional selling. Transformational selling grows the relationship, so you both grow. And then we have transformation. Transformation for both of us. Because you, when you are using the transformation selling, you change. You now realize it's important to serve, not just to product push. The other party, your customer, sees you not necessarily as someone selling to them, they see you part and parcel of their team. The perfect sale is a structure, a system, a platform, which allows you to successfully use transformational selling. It is an acronym and it stands for plan, establish your core, research needs, focus on the value, explore concerns, commit, and transform. Plan. And in awareness, we consider two areas. The first area is you being aware of the needs, wants, expectations of the other party, their goals, motivations, challenges. This is not a shallow awareness, it is a deep awareness. The other area is your customer being aware of the value that you offer. This is not just you pushing your value, and value is something which is important, of interest, and use to the other party. So your value will match the needs, wants, expectations of your customer. A question. Do you have a target market? Do you have an ideal customer profile? Pop it in the chat, yes or no. Some say yes, some question marks, some no. Let's expand the target market. Geographic, bricks and mortar, online, countries, regions. I was talking to one customer. He provided gifts to the corporate to give away to their clients. I said to him, who is your target market? Everyone. Everyone? Yes, everyone. Oh, okay. So facetiously, I said, would you sell to someone in Afghanistan? No, I can't supply. Ah, okay. Would you supply to someone in Turkey? No, I don't speak the language. So, by a series of eliminations, has to speak English, must be in certain areas where he can deliver the goods. It was his target market, Sydney and Melbourne. Demographic. If you are a wellness coach, the message you send to a 25 to 45-year-old will be different than if you are sending it to a 55 to 75-year-old. If you are solely concentrating on females, that message will be different than if it is sent to a male. Psychographics, beliefs, values, lifestyle. Coca-Cola, if you have a look at their ads, targets people of having fun and communities. They have targeted the lifestyle of those who are enjoying life and also who belong to a community. Behavioral. Can you target people who buy similar products? For example, if you are an empowerment coach, can you look at people who buy motivational tapes? Establish rapport. And rapport is establishing a harmonious relationship. This does not just exist at first meeting. It exists throughout the relationship from the point of view of you maintaining a harmonious relationship. According to circumstances, that may rise or lower, but make sure the communication is harmonious. One of the ways to establish and build a harmonious relationship is to have a sales promise. A sales promise that is based on output, not on input. It's based upon results that a potential customer will achieve by you dealing with it. For example, my sales promise is I help business professionals when they are selling or presenting to make it easier, more authentic, and more profitable without scripts, pressure, or manipulation. Research needs. This is the foundation of you having an effective communication with your customer. And it is based upon questioning. Fortunately, there are only two types of questions we have to consider: closed questions and open questions. A closed question concentrates upon a yes or no or a fact. Are you the decision maker? When may we go ahead? I remember I was talking to a prospect who became a client, and I said to him, how many people work here? He said, about half of them. I said, so I knew I'd got a buddy with a sense of humor. Open questions. Ask the customer to open up their mind. It is based upon a thought, a process, a desire. For example, what procedure do you have for implementing sales training? Here's a question for you. Please pop the answer in the chat. When you wake up in the morning, what is the first beverage that you have? Tea, coffee? Now, that question on the surface may seem quite simple, but generally, what happens when you ask that type of question, as I've asked it of you, you will find that some people go through a process. They go through the process. Yes, I've woken up. I walk into the kitchen, put on the kettle, or run the tap, or open the fridge for some water, etc. That is the power of questioning. Never, ever underestimate the power of questioning. Focus on the value. And value is what is important, of interest, and of use to the other party. It is no good you offering value if it does not meet the criteria of what they are looking for in terms of their needs, wants, expectations. Your value must align with what they want. Explore concern. And a concern is of interest, important, and yet there's a certain amount of uneasiness about it. Take a look at this woman in the picture. Imagine me asking her, are you happy with what we've said? And she goes, oh, yes. No, there's obviously something bothering her. How do you satisfy concern? Very simple. You ask. There's obviously something concerning you. What is it? By the way, you do it socially. If someone has uneasiness, you say, what's bothering you? And how do we do it in a business sense? As we do in a social sense, you lock on, you listen, you observe, and you question. Commit. And a commitment is an agreement to take further positive action. If you do not have a commitment, you have an intention. Yeah, I like it, but there's no commitment. Without commitment, we cannot progress. And commitment is two-way. For example, if you've agreed that you will phone the other party later, you commit to phoning that party on that date and that time. They commit to answering the phone. Transformation. And there are two areas of transformation that take place. To the customer, they receive real value and outcomes. Outcomes, not input, outcomes. They get results. To you, you move from the old style of selling to serving. And when those values align, you have transformation. So there is the perfect sales structure. Plan awareness, establish rapport, harmonious relationship, research needs, question, focus on the value for both parties, explore concerns, commit, and transformation takes place. So what is the true value? The true value is that you start to sell service in a natural way. Why? Because it is the way you are selling, not the way someone tells you how to sell. You therefore build your confidence. Yes, I feel good about talking to clients, about explaining the value. Value exceeds the price paid. I remember talking with a client, a prospect at the time, and he said, Gerald, I like what you're saying, but can you do something about the price? I said, what? You want me to increase it? He said, no, I want you to shave it. I said, yes, certainly. What part of the program do you want me to take out? Oh, I don't want you to take out any of the program, said he. I said, well, that's why the price is there, so we can deliver the value that you require. How was I able to do that? Because I was selling the way I like to sell, and I had confidence in the value that I was offering. And when you have that, when you present that value, you have customers more willing to buy. And when they're more willing to buy, they repeat the process, which means you have a return. And return customers is much more profitable. Metropolitan Life in the US, they did some studies and they found it is 7 times more expensive to sell to a new customer than it is to an existing one. They did similar studies in Australia and they found that it was 11 times more expensive. So when you have repeat customers because of the value you offer, it becomes highly profitable. The perfect offer. It's 5 sessions in 5 days. What will you receive? Obviously, you will build instant rapport because you have a sales promise. It builds rapport without pressure. You will uncover customer needs effortlessly because you have perfected your questioning techniques. Present your offer as an obvious solution. Why? Because you are now matching your value to what the other party wants. You will naturally satisfy any concerns that arise. You don't have to overcome, handle objections, which really is a 19th century technique. And what happens? you win the sale. You keep winning for repeat profitable business. Now you will sell and service easier, be more authentic, and more profitable. So the investment in the transformational selling with the perfect sale platform, which makes it easier, more authentic, and more profitable for you. And by the way, we don't just have the 5 days, 1 hour. If you want to contact me at any other time, within reason, I'm happy to take any questions that you have. And we have the bonus. Your investment is normally $997 for the 5 days. Today, Christmas bonus, it's 97 ex GST. Does it work? I hear you say. Well, I can only go on feedback. One client, Neville Young, in sporting goods, he told me with his sales force of 10 people, he improved his sales by $4.8 million, nearly $5 million. Peter Winter, a government instrumentality, said, I've really built my confidence to sell. Why? Because I'm naturally doing it the way I want to. Emily Aces, in Fast Moving Consumer Goods, said it gave her the confidence to actually go back to the customer, change the product offering to make it more profitable for them and for the customer. And by the way, there's a guarantee. If you are not happy with what is offered, if you are not happy after the 5 days, I will gladly refund your money because I do not want a complaining customer afterwards. I want, as you do, happy customers. So if you want to take up this offer, please post in the chat invite. Thank you so much.